Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you are brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. And we are building a full-on apartment building. I love the apartments in The Sims 4. For the most part, some of them are very, very big. So more often than not, I find myself making like these huge family apartments or trying to squeeze a lot of Sims into a smaller unit. But smaller units seem to be hard to come by in apartments. And granted, this doesn't necessarily remedy that issue. So I'm not really sure why I'm talking about it, but I decided to build a full-on apartment building because I thought it would be kind of neat. And this is me starting to expand my horizons a little bit and getting, I don't know, kind of creative with some builds. So as you can see, I'm trying to actually make the full-on building here, and the way that I do it is the bottom floor is kind of the lobby area, so maybe it's where you can go to the front desk, kind of get a tour of the building if you're looking at securing a unit there, or it's also where I think I put some of the mailboxes, which granted, only one of them is going to work because the way that this works is all the other floors are completely empty. They don't even have floor plans. They have nothing. But the top floor, which I believe is the third floor technically, or is it the fourth? It actually might be the fourth now that I look at this, because I think that the quote-unquote fifth floor is just half wall, so I could kind of make a little bit of a roof that didn't look too boring. I don't know, flat roofs are kind of boring to me, but this one is reasonably flat, so I kind of just went with it. But yeah, it's like the top floor is basically a penthouse, and that's where I end up doing the floor plan and actually making the living space. So this was so fun, and I ended up finding a lot of inspiration on Pinterest. In fact, I used this particular image down in the left-hand side of the screen for reference to kind of make this, and then I took some creative liberties as well. I didn't really know what to put on the roof aside from some of these roof decorations that we have from Get Famous and Base Game, so hopefully it doesn't look too awkward, but I had a lot of fun trying to figure out what to do with this building. The first thing I noticed is that a lot of them look very modern nowadays, and I was probably looking at a lot that were in bigger cities, so this wouldn't necessarily be something that you would see in just a neighborhood by any means. But yeah, I was looking at a few that were in different cities, and they kind of have like plant beds all around them. There's usually a staircase or two, different entry points to at least the main lobby, and then there's like an elevator or two to get to all of the other floors. However, I don't know how to get the elevators to work in The Sims 4. Now, I have heard so many people talk about either getting them to work or finding tips and tricks. I'm just really not sure. I think that they only work with penthouse lots. However, there isn't a lot type for penthouse, so I'm not quite sure how people have gotten them to work unless they've gone into a penthouse lot, such as the dormitories that we have for Discovery University, or the actual penthouse apartments in San Myshuno. Like, you can go in there and you can renovate them, and you can probably move the elevator anywhere you'd like and still have it work. But I couldn't make this a penthouse lot, so when I placed the elevator, which you saw a little bit earlier, I tried it and it did not work at all. And honestly, I didn't have the patience to like futz around with it and try to figure out how to make it work. So I ended up just putting a staircase in this build instead, and I put it on the back of the building because thinking about different apartment buildings, there's usually a fire escape in some way, shape, or form. But I was thinking that it's also an alternative way to get up to your apartment unit if the elevator's out. So I actually ended up stripping the elevator altogether, and you guys will see that eventually. I do the floor plan at one point, and then I strip it again and try to change it around because I had to try to build the freaking staircase. So I don't know, this build was kind of a struggle, but it was honestly super fun because by the end of it, I felt, I don't know, so satisfied. Like, I was so happy with how this came out. So I hope that you guys enjoy it too. As you can see, I'm working on kind of like a front entryway area. I do end up stripping the fence because it looked too closed off, I think. I do make this a parking lot and I end up keeping it, but I think I expand it just a little tiny bit to the actual corner of the lot, because the only reason I didn't make it to the corner of the lot is because we can't place fences on that very last tile, which to me is so silly. I wish we could place fences just literally around the lot and we wouldn't have to do it like a tile in. Do you know what I mean? Is that weird? I don't know if I'm the only one that feels that way, but I definitely wish that we could actually like build on those final tiles. But as you can see, during that transition, I did go ahead and get rid of that front gated off area, and I just paved the entire area around this building, thinking that it was more so in like the heart of a little city. And I am building this in Magnolia Promenade. I probably should have mentioned that. That's why it's called the Magnolia Towers Penthouse, but I thought it was kind of a neat area to do it. It's such a retail oriented space that I thought that it kind of fit, where maybe you have like this strip of retail shops and stuff like that, like a restaurant, and then you have this big apartment tower, and I just thought it kind of fit. So I am very curious to hear what you guys think of that too. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this for anything in particular. I was thinking of using it in my save file for the Magnolia Promenade area, but I'm just not quite sure yet. So I am interested to hear your guys' thoughts, but I did go ahead and at least place a little fountain in the front, as well as some outside lights just to kind of spice it up a little bit. And the first thing that I end up working on as well is actually the lobby, which I adore this lobby so much. I was actually really surprised at how well it came together, but I do work on the outside lighting a bit, and there are a few seating areas out here as well. Most of them are under cover of the balcony above, but some of them are not, because I wasn't necessarily thinking that this is where a lot of people go to hang out. I also tried to use this modern statue from Get Together, but honestly, I think it looked a little too modern for me. The whole building is kind of modern. I mean, it's this big, sleek building with these really cool windows. It's a very, I don't know, rigid build? Does that even make sense? I'm not quite sure. And it does look as though it is for like your wealthier Sims, I suppose. You guys have been asking, and I said I was going to keep up with it, and I kind of like fell off the wagon a bit. I haven't been putting the price tag for a lot of my builds lately in the description, so I'm going to try to remember to do that for this one, and if I fail, I will try again because I always pre-record and I end up like uploading to YouTube and everything and scheduling things for certain days, and then I completely forget to go back and make changes sometimes. So I'm going to do my best to try to remember, but I am working on the inside lobby right now, and there are tons of like security cameras around here, because in a lot of those either like business park type areas, at least in the US and cities in the US, there are a lot of security cameras, and for those bigger apartment buildings too, there's usually some kind of like services that you get along with just renting the space, whether it's, I don't know, valet parking. That's beyond me. It could be like valet parking, it could be like a cleaning service, it could be a security service for the building, it could be anything like that. So I thought that security cameras would be a realistic thing to actually have here in this build. And in this lobby, there are a few couches and just a few places to kind of relax. So whether that's someone who's waiting for a tour of a unit, or if it's residents of the apartment complex that actually just wanted to go downstairs in the lobby and hang out instead of being upstairs in their unit, I'm not gonna judge them. I just love how it came out. I loved the colors I ended up going with. It is just this white, black, and brown kind of scheme, like color scheme. That's what I'm trying to think of. And I just really like the front desk too. I mean, there is a cash register, so when you think about functionality, it's not like anyone's going to be doing anything with the cash register. This really is all just a set because, you know, if you're actually going to have a sim live here, they're going to live upstairs and everything else is just for show. So it is a little bit different, but what you could do as well, and the reason why I left all of the different levels completely empty and blank, is that if you wanted to actually sort out different floor plans for each one, or actually have like the roommate system kind of work, you may be able to go ahead and designate each floor to a different roommate, and it would be like a functional apartment building, which I didn't actually play around with when I was playtesting it, but I thought it was a really neat idea. But I did leave it blank just for that purpose, so you guys can play around with it if you would like. And back here is where all of the mailboxes are, so I was thinking that this is where residents would have to come down and get their mail. They don't have a mailbox right outside their front door. However, with all of those mailboxes, I think only one of them is going to quote unquote work, because you would do at least need a mailbox on the lot for your Sims to be able to like get their bills and stuff like that. If you don't have one will just spring up in the middle of the build. And that is what happened when I was actually taking screenshots. So I had to get rid of it and make sure that I put the mailboxes in the lobby. It was a little bit weird. There's also a public bathroom down here, just one, just because I wasn't thinking this was a very high traffic space. But then we head on upstairs to the penthouse, and I absolutely love this apartment. What's going to be maybe surprising to you guys is I did not go crazy with clutter. at all. I made this kind of a minimalist apartment, and I was making it for either a single sim or like a couple who lived here. It is, to me, what I would consider like very high fashion. It's very modern looking. It's very sleek in my opinion. And I don't know, it does seem very pricey to me. Like, I feel like a lot of this furniture would be really expensive. And I mean, this penthouse apartment, that would be probably a really expensive unit to even rent. But what's great is I think that this lot is a little over 130,000 simoleons, which is not cheap by any means, but it is a little bit expensive. However, most of those floors don't have lights or any functionality. So I'm thinking the bills might actually be really cheap here. I'm really not sure. But here I did create some floating shelves, which I just covered up with all of these books. This is pretty much the most clutter that you actually see in the entire build. And I actually did the other side off camera because it took a long time to actually do that step by step. These are almost like little ottomans, little seating areas right near this fireplace. And the whole color scheme up here is white, black, and red. And the red was very vibrant. It popped so much, and it immediately made me think of like the Goth's house in The Sims 4 when you originally load up the game. They just have like a lot of red, and I think actually, do they have a touch of purple too? I can't remember, but it kind of made me think of the Goths. So if the Goths didn't own like their very historic like family home, maybe they would live in an apartment like this. I feel like this would totally suit Bella Goth. Maybe not Mortimer, but maybe Bella. I don't know. Do you guys agree? Could you imagine them living here? I definitely could. But we are kind of wrapping up the living room here, just adding a few clutter details, nothing crazy. And then I do move on to the kitchen, which this pained me to do, but I did have to put all of the cabinets in front of these big open windows. There were just so many windows, and I couldn't come up with another space for the kitchen that would be logical, so I ended up just doing it, and it's not the end of the world for me, but if it bugs you, I do apologize. But I did use these spa day counters, and I also use the cabinets, and I don't use them very often. I think I've only used them like 2 or 3 times in builds before, but I thought this was the perfect opportunity to do so. And even the kitchen is not cluttered. Like, wild. It is not that cluttered at all. There are some basic necessities, and that is freaking it. I was so shocked as I was moving through this, being like, am I okay? Am I okay with not cluttering the heck out of this? Am I going to be all right? Does this even look like one of my builds? I don't know. Who am I anymore? It was really, really weird, but they do have a small dining table in the corner. There's also a few seats at the bar top island counters like in the middle of the kitchen. And I also use these lights from Eco Lifestyle, which I haven't used very often. I really liked using them here. I thought they kind of fit nicely. I wasn't trying to go, do it yourself apartment, but they looked really nice and they kind of looked a little modern to me. I don't know if you guys would agree, but here is kind of like the little entryway. There's kind of 2 steps to enter this apartment. There's one just to get to their front door, and then there's like this little breezeway entryway where their garbage cans are, and then where their like little coat rack is and stuff. And then I move on to the bedroom, which in my opinion is also very pretty and very relaxing and modern. I was thinking that the sim that lived here, at least one of them, if I do put a couple in here, was a photojournalist or just some kind of like celebrity photographer or something. I don't know. I put a few of the like newspaper or magazine spreads in frames above this desk, and they have like a desk so they can write or edit photos and stuff. So that was kind of my thought. Very high fashion, like I said. And even the dresser doesn't have clutter, and there's also a keyboard. Maybe the other sim is actually like a pianist or something like that, though they're really into more so like modern piano, if that's even a thing, compared to like having a grand piano in the living room. And then over here is the bathroom where they have a shower and a bathtub, which I thought was very, very fancy. And of course, like everything else that you would need in a bathroom, but it is very black and white. And I loved using the get together tile in this bathroom. I don't get to use it too often just because some of the colors are a little too vibrant for me, but I thought that this one was perfect just to give it enough personality. But we are coming up to the screenshots very, very soon, so I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you liked the concept, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts, and I will catch you guys next time I post a video, and I will talk to you soon. Bye! You think you know me? Say I'm as cold-hearted as they come. You think I'm slowly cutting my time.
you don't know.